What is going on, everybody? In this video, I'm going to be going through the 2025 college football schedule for Texas A&M. I'm going to go through every game on their schedule and predict their record for the 2025 college football season. But before we do that, let's just talk about this Texas A&M team. And I gotta say, next season is going to be a very interesting year for Texas A&M. A lot of people are hyping up Florida and South Carolina because they both have very good young quarterbacks, and they both ended last season on a good note. But we also got to realize Texas A&M is number 7 in the country for return on production, and I think this team should absolutely be in the conversation for the SEC title race next season. If they take a step forward offensively, they could be dangerous. And defensively, they've been pretty solid and they have very good return on production. This is a Texas A&M defense that returns 74% of the production on defense. And they add very good players up front on the defensive line like Deion Hayes and TJ Searchie. They also got a talented cornerback in Julian Humphrey, so they add more good pieces on defense. They do have some question marks in the secondary. They gave up a lot of yards last season passing. But I think Mike Elko is a great defensive mind. I think this Texas A&M team in year 2 has a lot of expectations. And I expect this team to be pretty good, and they should definitely be in the conversation for the playoffs if they put it all together. Offensively, I think they have potential. They add one of the top players in the country in Casey Concepcion. He was the freshman of the year 2 seasons ago. He went off at NC State. He had over 1,000 all-purpose yards. They also add Mario Craver, who is a solid receiver, and Terry Bussey is a young, talented receiver returning. They have an elite backfield returning a Le'Veon Moss and Reuben Owens, and Marcel Reed can run the ball himself at quarterback, and he has an arm. If Marcel Reed develops as a passer and can be more consistent, the offense is going to be dangerous. The coaching staff is there, and I think the talent is there as well. So Texas A&M is a team to watch out for, and without further ado, let's get into predicting their schedule. They will open the season with UTSA at home. I predicted UTSA to take a step back last season, and that's exactly what happened. But next season, I do think they are going to be better. They got their quarterback back in Owen McCown. This is a sleeper team in the American Conference next season. UTSA returns 82% of the offensive production, which is second in the country. They add AJ Wilson at wide receiver. He's a good addition. I like this UTSA team. I do think they'll be better next season, but I don't think they'll be able to compete with Texas A&M. I like Texas A&M to get this win and move to 1-0. Texas A&M will then play another Group of 5 school in Utah State. Unlike UTSA, Utah State has a lot of question marks and they don't return any production. They are 133rd in the country in return in production. This team was very bad last season and they have a lot to clean up with head coach Bronco Mendenhall. Maybe this team is better next season. Bronco Mendenhall does have a winning track record, but right now the pieces are just not there. I think it's going to be a tough 2025 season. Regardless, Texas A&M is on a different level. They're way too talented. Give me Texas A&M to beat Utah State and move to 2-0. Texas A&M will then have a rematch with Notre Dame. Last season, this game was played at College Station. Notre Dame won that game on the road. This season, Texas A&M has to go to Notre Dame. And this should be one of the best games of the season. And this should be a fun game because both these backfields are truly elite. This could be a game of the top 2 running teams in college football, at least at the Power 5 level. I know you got teams like Air Force, Army, and Navy, but that's all they do is run the ball. But no, Texas A&M and Notre Dame run the ball super well at a Power 5 level. And Notre Dame has themselves a beast at running back in Jeremiah Love. Last season, they also had Riley and Leonard running the ball a lot. But CJ Carr is the projected starter. He's more of a pocket passer. So honestly, more teams might not stack up the box anymore against Notre Dame like they did before. And that might open up the door for a guy like Jeremiah Love to have a breakout season. I guess he already had a breakout season, but I'm talking Heisman finalist. They also add good receivers in Malachi Fields, Will Pauling. I think Notre Dame will have an improved receiving core. They also got Jordan Faison and Jaden Grayhouse back. Defensively, the pieces are there. I know they lost NFL talent, but they're too good. I trust Marcus Freeman at head coach. I like this Texas A&M team. I think they're going to be better, but I don't see them getting this one on the road, knowing how this game went last season. I think Notre Dame could win the battle at the line of scrimmage and have a big game running the ball with Jeremiah Love. I think Texas A&M will drop this game and move to 2-1. Texas A&M will then get Auburn at home following the bye week. And Auburn is absolutely a team to watch in the SEC. They have a lot of growing to do because they went 5-7 last season. They have underperformed constantly with head coach Hugh Freeze. But if you really look at the games and how they went, there is not much holding them back from being a good football team. They got young receivers coming up, especially Cam Coleman, the 5-star. They add the number one receiver in the portal, Eric Singleton Jr. They add some good offensive linemen, so I expect the offensive line to be better. And Jackson Arnold is a 5-star quarterback. They got 5-star quarterback Jackson Arnold. I think will be better than he was last season, definitely with some very good receivers. I think Auburn will be better, but an early season game on the road at Texas A&M could be tricky. They still have a lot to prove, and some of the pieces really have to fit in. I think Texas A&M will have the rushing attack to take advantage of Auburn's front seven. Auburn has a good defense, but it's not a super good defense. And Auburn still has some things to figure out on offense. I do think they will be better, and they're very talented. But give me Texas A&M to get this win, and I have them moving to 3-1. The following week, they get one of the worst Power 4 teams at home in Mississippi State. Offensively, they do have some upside. I think they're underrated on offense. Don't be surprised if this Mississippi State team is able to get some wins and surprise some people just because of the offensive talent. Blake Shapen's an experienced quarterback. He's back. And they got a very good running back room in Fluff, Bothwell, and Davin Booth. And they add some solid receivers out of the portal. And they do have a head coach with a good offensive mind. But defensively, there's no upside at all. They're very bad on defense. I don't have any expectations for them there. And I think A&M is just the more talented and balanced team. I think they can beat Mississippi State at home and move to 4-1. Texas A&M will then get a big game at home against Florida. Look, Florida is getting battle tested in the first half of the season. And I have to believe with a quarterback like DJ Lagway, he's going to go off in one of these road games. I think he has that mentality, and I think he's good enough to do that. And this is just one of the games where I think Florida's going to have a great performance. I think DJ Lagway will show up on the road at College Station. I think this Florida team is a solid squad. And I think there are going to be some question marks with Texas A&M secondary. I think it's one of their weaknesses. DJ Lagway has one of the best deep balls in the country, and they have a solid receiving core. They also got a 5-star true freshman coming in Dallas Wilson. They have a solid rushing attack, a good offensive line, and an experienced defense with some young talent coming up as well. I like this Florida team. I think they're capable to get these wins. So I think Texas A&M will drop this game at home and move to 4-2, but I could see this game going either way. The following week, they have to bounce back and go on the road to Arkansas. Arkansas is an interesting team heading into next season. They get Taylor Green back at quarterback. They made a bowl game last season. Some people weren't expecting that out of them. But they do lose a very good running back, and they have some question marks. I don't know if they're going to be able to make another bowl game again. They have a solid roster. I think they'll be good, but I don't think they'll be as good as the other teams in the SEC. They don't have great return in production, and I think a team like Texas A&M is able to get this win on the road. I still have questions with Arkansas's line of scrimmage. And Sam Pittman really has a lot to prove as a head coach. He's definitely in the hot seat. I like Taylor Green at quarterback. He could surprise some people. Maybe Arkansas has an 8-win season or somewhere around there. But I am expecting them to be pretty average. And I think Texas A&M could get this win and move to 5-2. The following week, they have to go on the road to LSU, one of the tougher places to play in the country. And I think this game really favors LSU. Texas A&M has a long 5-game stretch without a bye week. This is their last game during that stretch. And like I said, I think there's weaknesses with the Texas A&M secondary. I think this game favors LSU because they have an elite passing attack. I truly think they'll be very good on offense. Garrett Nussmeier threw for over 4,000 yards last season. I think he's going to cut back on turnovers, definitely with some new receivers coming in. They add 2 of the top receivers out of the portal in Nick Anderson and Barian Brown. They got 2 borderline elite receivers in Aaron Anderson and Chris Hilton Jr. back. This is an offense that is going to sling the ball deep, and they have a solid backfield. And defensively, Blake Baker is going to do a good job with this defense. They've been making all the moves necessary to take that step forward. I think LSU is a legit playoff contender, and I think Texas A&M will drop this game on the road. If they had it at home, I would consider picking them. But they have it on the road. The SEC is a gauntlet. I think they'll lose this game and move to 5-3. Following the bye week, they will go on the road to play Missouri. I am expecting a step back from Missouri. They had a good portal class. They got a good quarterback coming in Beau Pribula, but I don't think he's a top-end quarterback in the SEC. I think he'll be one of the worst quarterbacks in the SEC, to be honest. I don't think he has great passing ability, and losing guys like Luther Bird and Brady Cook and so many more elite pieces is going to be tough. They lost a ton of NFL talent. I will say they have a huge upside with Ahmad Hardy. I think they'll have a good rushing attack, but I do have question marks with this team. They lost Blake Baker 2 seasons ago, and the defense had concerns last season. I think they'll be solid, but there's still some holes with this team. I think Texas A&M is good enough to get this win off of a bye week, even on the road. Give me A&M to win this game and move to 6-3. Texas A&M will get South Carolina in a late season game at home. This could absolutely be a playoff elimination game. Both these teams are looking to take strides forward, and they have the pieces necessary. They both have very good home field advantages, and they both have electric quarterbacks. I do think Texas A&M is going to have this game circled. Look, I'm really up and down on the South Carolina team. I'm really buying into the hype with Lenore Sellers at quarterback, and they got some good pieces at wide receiver. I think Lenore Sellers could be an elite quarterback and change the game next season. Defensively, they have one of the top players in the country returning in the young Dylan Stewart, but they lost a ton of NFL talent. They are nearly bottom of the SEC in return in production defensively, and I don't know how good defensively they'll be. I think they'll be good, but I don't know if they'll be able to beat Texas A&M on the road in this game. I think Texas A&M has the rushing attack in this game. I like South Carolina, but the road tests in the SEC are never easy. I think Texas A&M can win this game at home and move to 7-3. Texas A&M will then get a rest from competition. They will play Samford. Samford hasn't been anything special at the FCS level. They are always put in these late season games against SEC schools, so I have nothing much to say about this game. Give me Texas A&M to win this game and move to 8-3. And that leads them up to their massive matchup against Texas. They will play Texas on the road, and maybe if Texas A&M is able to upset Texas, they get a playoff spot. I don't know if we're going to see a 9-win team in the SEC making it, but they should be in the conversation. There's just so many good teams in college football that's wide open, especially next season. And I'm actually going to take Texas A&M to get the upset on the road at Texas. I think this is going to be one of the bigger upsets next season. We've seen crazier things in college football happen before, and this is a rivalry that both these teams are going to be playing for a lot in. I think Texas is an elite national title contender, especially with what they've done the last couple of seasons. But I think people are not taking into account how much they have lost on offense. They are nearly bottom of the country in offensive return and production. They got DeAndre Moore Jr. and Ryan Wingo at wide receiver, but I don't think they have this truly elite receiver room. Outside of those two guys, they need guys to step up. They lost multiple NFL offensive linemen. I'm going to say Texas A&M has one of their best games of the season, and I'm going to say they can upset Texas. I think they grind out a win and compete at the line of scrimmage in this game. And I have Texas A&M winning this game in an upset and moving to 9-3. So there you have it. I have some ups and downs for Texas A&M. I could very well have Texas A&M losing to Texas but beating Florida. Regardless, I have Texas A&M going 9-3. I think they're going to be right there in that playoff conversation. I think they have a very good roster, and they got good return in production and a good head coach in Mike Elko. I think the pieces are there. But anyways, you guys leave your prediction on Texas A&M football for next season down in the comments below. Now let me remind you guys to like the video and also subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And if you guys love college football, then you'll love this channel because we upload a ton of college football content and we basically cover everything on this channel. So definitely consider subscribing and also consider checking out my socials down in the description below. But that is going to do it, guys, and peace out.